This might be my new favorite $100 IM. So hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for the first collaboration from Timmy from Giz Audio and also Letshuoer. And this is the Letshuoer Galileo. So this IM is using one dynamic driver and one balancer material for the driver configuration and costs around $100 only. And just like usual, I will break down this review from the build, fit, frequency, response, sound, and comparison. For me, there's nothing special about the build quality. It's just very typical chi-fi resin kind of housing, and you could see inside there's a dynamic driver here and there's balancer material around this part. And the cable itself is using 2-pin connectors, and somehow this twisted cable reminds me of the S12 cable, but somehow it is more flexible even though it's still a little bit on the heavy side. Honestly, fit-wise or ergonomic-wise, it's not really good for me, maybe because of its large stem. Because of that, and thanks to that, I do feel that other than this SpinFit CP100, I couldn't really get a proper fit, so I couldn't really get the bass punch using their stock tips or a lot of kind of ear tips, but this CP100 definitely helps me with that. So maybe be careful for those who have small ears like me. You might need a little bit help with changing your ear tips. Now going to the tonality of this IM, I could simply consider them to be somehow Harmon-ish, but with just a little bit of modification here and there. But yeah, it follows the Harmon line. But the thing that is special about this IM for me, it's about its treble. Well, a lot of Harmon-ish IM that are using a single dynamic driver only, like the Moondrop Kato, Moondrop Starfield, or Moondrop KXXS, all have similar weakness, at least for me, when you are hearing the transition from upper mid-range to treble area. The upper mid-range could be a little bit intense, could be sound forward, but after that the treble is definitely smooth and rolls off, making a quite contrast there, feeling that the treble is somehow limited. But not this one, it's quite different. Because of that single balancer material there, it's giving extra bite and extra details for the treble presence around the upper mid-range to treble area, somehow making this IM to be more enjoyable than the usual Harmon, at least for me. This IM has a really well controlled and deep low frequency. For me, this IM simply has just enough kind of bass. It's deep enough, it's punchy, it's very well controlled, it's fast enough. But maybe the thing that I'm craving for a little bit more here is the mid bass. I do find, even though the frequency response showed like that, but I do find that the mid bass is somehow a little bit lacking, especially when I'm hearing music that has not a lot of mid bass, like the Closer from the Chainsmokers. For me, it's just lacking oomph there, because it's too balancing the forwardness of the upper mid-range here. The bass, I feel just a little bit lacking in mid-bass, although the sub-bass extension is really well controlled. You can feel the rumble, the depth, it's really good, but I just craving for a little bit of meat in the mid-bass. I consider the mid-range of this IM to be the star of the show. It is simply forward, well balanced, very detailed, and well textured. So no matter what kind of music I throw at them, no matter what kind of vocalist, I simply find that the vocal will be the star of the show. Like I said, it is forward, it is textured, it's absent of sibilance and shoutiness. It's just amazing at this price point. I think this is the most enjoyable vocal at this price point, even though I would say that this is not the smoothest one, but in terms of excitement, in terms of overall quality of the vocal, I feel that the quality of the mid-range of this IM is just simply excellent and really well controlled too. I find no sibilance or peaks here and there. Just amazing. Now, high frequency or treble is one that I feel to be kind of unique, because here's the thing. If you take a look only at the frequency response, you maybe guess just like me, it's rolled off, it maybe lacks some bite or incisiveness or attack in treble area, but apparently that's not what happened here. The treble extension is limited. Indeed, it is limited. So when you're hearing some very high violins in La Campanella or La Primavera, I do feel that the violin's energy could be a little bit limited. It's not open enough. But in terms of bite, in terms of attack for cymbals, for violin, for really high piano there, for a lot of percussion, actually the bite is good. It's really well controlled. It's void of any metallic tinge to it, so it's another great area. But if you are searching for a really well extended airy treble, yeah, it's not really getting there. It's not really airy, but the bite and attack is just simply enough for a lot of genre. So simply said, I would say that the tonality of this IM is really all-rounder, with the main star is the vocal, is the mid-range. It's when I'm hearing J-pop, K-pop, or even Mandarin pop, or yeah, orchestral. Maybe orchestral made a little bit lacking because of the lacking of mid-bass and also treble extension, but I still find that this IM to be enjoyable, or even rock music. Yeah, I think that this IM is simply all-rounder enough in terms of tonality. Maybe not for those who are solely looking for something for classical or EDMs, it might not be for you. But other than that, I find that this IM is really all-rounder. Well, now talking about its technical, I find that this IM is okay. It's just reasonably priced here. Here's the thing, it's better than the Dioko Titan S, which was one of my favorite IM for $100 and less. It cost $80, and this IM definitely has better resolution and details, but it doesn't reach the same level as the Letshuoer S12. The Letshuoer S12, the planar IM, still has better resolution and extension overall, and it's not as detailed and resolving as the 7Hz Dioko for $100, but it's not far. It's just noticeably better in Dioko. Dioko still holds the crown in terms of $100 price point technical, but it's not really far behind. So if you're searching for technical, this is definitely still not the most technical one. It still have decent technical. It's better than the Indonesian Titan S. It still have good resolution, good details. Just average for me. The soundstage is average. The imaging is also quite good, but it's still not resolving as the Dioko. But nevertheless, I do think that I enjoy this more, and I will explain to you. Now, comparing them directly with the amazing Dioko, I find that the Dioko is more U-shaped in presentation, giving more noticeable sub-bass and also upper treble, but lacking in mid-range. Somehow I find that the sound of Dioko is a little bit dead in the mid-range. I couldn't hear a lot of emotion or forwardness from the vocalist, but it's really different than with this Galileo. Galileo maybe not has that, somehow the sub-bass, regardless of the frequency response, I do find that the sub-bass of the Dioko is more noticeable. In here is more subdued, even though I feel a little bit more rumble, maybe because of the dynamic driver. But the mid-range is where the soul is coming from. The mid-range of this IM is so much more energetic, so much more forward and full of emotion. So when I'm hearing music, for example, like Kela Settle from This Is Me from Kela Settle, The Greatest Showman, I could hear a lot of emotion there. I could hear the soul of the music. While in Dioko, I feel like I'm more kind of analyzing the music rather than really enjoying it. So therefore, even though I would say that this IM is not as good as the Dioko in terms of resolution, but in terms of enjoyment, I do still find that this IM simply the most enjoyable for $100 IMs. Comparing them again with another champion for around $100 like the Hexa from third year, I find that the Hexa is more neutral in presentation. It is more extended indeed in the treble region, but the thing that Hexa lacks is timbre and also dynamics. Again, if you see my review for True Theory Hexa, it's overall a very excellent kind of IM, but it lacking in timbre and also dynamics, so it does making music like This Is Me. This Is Me is one of the most dynamics vocal that I've ever heard from any music. I could hear the emotion there. The Hexa somehow doesn't really feel as emotion as this IM. So that's all I could say about this IM. Overall, I really enjoy it, and it's definitely my top picks for $100. And this is my final score for its tonality and also its technical. And this is my final rank. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.